week on iRadio.
أنا داير أتكلم بالموضوع بتاع أخصائيين بتاع أطفال. جمعية دي حاجة كويس جديد بالذات في دولة بتاعنا بتاع السودان، لأنه الدكاترة بتاعنا بتاع أطفال هم منبسطين. أنا لو بدينا نحسبهم نحسبهم بأسامي، لكن بعد مرات أنت ما بتلقاهم في المستشفى الكبير أو في المستشفى بتاع عيال اللي هو مستشفى الصباح في داخل الجبهة هنا، تلقاهم في عيادات خاصة. يعني انت ما بتلقى دكتور العديد كده في المستشفى بتاع الصباح للاطفال الا بواحد يكون منهم هناك كان شاف الكيس بتاع الجنة ده البطال ده حتى يقوم يضرب له وحتى نو بعدين يجي. لكن ما دايرين الاخصائيين بتاع الاطفال ده يتواجدوا في المستشفيات زي مستشفى الجبهه والمستشفى بتاع الصباح ده، فمبادره بتاعهم ده كويس، لكن خليكم وطنيين لانه ده دوله بتاعكم. اي زول وطني لازم يشتغل الوطن بتاعه وده اطفال بتاعكم. لكن في تحديات كثير، الدكاتره والممرضين كلهم مارين بهم. ربنا خليه ساعد الدكاتره وربنا خليه ساعد الممرضين والسيشن ده حتى لو لقى في تعب
Live from Juba, on air and online.
This is iRadio News.
Hello, good afternoon. This is iRadio News. First, here are the headlines. An economist has added his voice to hello calls by fellow economists urging the government to print higher denomination currency notes amid the continued loss of value of South Sudan's highest note, the 1,000 South Sudanese pounds. The Director of Immigration, Nationality and Passport says inadequate medical support has led to the loss of several staff members to hepatitis, with poor incentives, food shortages and lack of transport further affecting staff welfare. And the Ministry of Finance and Planning have approved a budget dedicated to agricultural tools ahead of the farming session. These are stories and more coming to you in the news bulletin with me, Wol Mapal. Now the news in detail. An economist has added his voice to hello calls by fellow economists urging the government to print higher denomination currency notes amid the continued loss of value of South Sudanese highest note, the 1,000 South Sudanese pounds. Speaking to Radio this morning, Stephen Yehude agreed that the depreciation of the local currency has reached a point where the 1,000 SSP note can barely purchase basic items, forcing citizens to carry large volumes of cash for routine transactions. He said printing larger denomination notes would help ease the burden of handling bulky cash and align the currency with current market prices. However, he would cautioned that such a move would only provide temporary relief and would not address the deeper economic challenges facing the country.
Printing a larger denomination, it is in line with the inflation trend to avoid carrying bulky notes that has no value. That helps, it is in line with that. But otherwise, the other policy, the previous policy, the predecessor policy of bringing a smaller denomination, yet the prices are in a higher denomination. This is check prices, there is no price of £1 or £2 or £5, nothing. So in the talk of 3 policy zeros or higher denominations prices. So therefore, it will be in line with the prices. So I think it is very much in order.
Right.
But it will not solve the problem of the economy. It will not solve it. It will just be temporary. In fact, it is going to inflate even more inflation.
Meanwhile, he would explained that the persistent liquidity crisis is largely due to poor circulation of money within the official banking system, stating that cash is not effectively moving through banks and the wider economy. He added that strict withdrawal limits and lack of attractive banking incentives discourage people from keeping money in banks, contributing to ongoing currency shortages in the market. The economist stressed that stabilizing the South Sudanese pound requires a mixed approach, combining monetary and fiscal policies alongside reforms in the banking sector to restore confidence and improve circulation.
Okay, Will get again, scarcity issue will remain a challenge. Hence I highlighted here because it's not circulating. And for reasons that really has to do with maybe the lack of incentives in the bank system that are not attractive for to save money in the bank. You want to withdraw money, you are told you withdraw limited to 50,000 per time. And imagine, and how much, there is no product that you can use to buy, whether it's paying rentals or paying school fees. You cannot just 50,000 there, it's enough, no. And then, so these are the issues that makes people to shy away from the banking system. And as long as those things are not addressed, these things will not address the issue of the scarcity of our currency.
He further noted that recent instability in the exchange rate was largely due to artificially created scarcity rather than genuine improvement in the value of the local currency. The Directorate of Immigration, Nationality and Passport says inadequate medical support has led to the loss of several staff members due to hepatitis, with poor incentives, food shortages and lack of transport further affecting staff welfare. According to Major General Elia Costa, Director of Immigration, Nationality and Passport, a number of officers within the Directorate have tragically passed away due to hepatitis B. He appealed for urgent support to facilitate comprehensive testing and vaccination for all officers currently serving. Major General Costa further appealed for the provision of incentives and adequate transport to strengthen the Directorate's operations and ensure the welfare of its personnel.
Problem for outbreak of disease like hepatitis B, which we lost many of our people, most of our officers here because of the hepatitis B. So we are also requesting your high office to support us so that we can make testing and then give it treatment to those who will be positive and vaccine to those. We also facing a big problem, which is the resources. The Directorate have no resources. So that is affecting the work, especially the system, the digital system. So it needs us also to have, because what we are getting here is only 5% from the revenue which is collected here, which cannot do anything to us. So we are asking your high office also to stand with us and support us so that we can move together with other countries.
The Office of the Senior Presidential Advisor has reiterated the government's commitment to ensuring uninterrupted passport issuance services across the country. This follows a courtesy visit by the Senior Presidential Envoy, Adud Salva, to the Directorate of Civil Registry, Nationality and Passport at the Ministry of Interior in Juba, where she assessed ongoing operations at the institution earlier today. Speaking during the visit, Adud Salva said her office was tasked with ensuring that passport issuance resumes and continues without interruption, describing the move as part of the government's responsibility to deliver essential services to citizens.
The Office of the Special Envoy was tasked with making sure that the issuance of passports resumes and never stops. So I'm here to guarantee that this is a service that will continue, and the reason I'm here today, I believe, is because I couldn't come empty-handed. I could have visited before, but I would have come and made a promise that maybe I would not have fulfilled. So having shown you that one of the things that we had to do was to make sure that the passports had to resume the service delivery to our citizens, this is why I'm here today.
She commended the leadership of the Directorate for acting swiftly to address operational challenges, noting that partnerships have been established to sustain the service.
Our Honorable CG for acting swiftly. We were able to find a partnership with a company that will ensure our debts will be cleared, and through the arrangement with the digitalization of passport issuance, the National Revenue Authority will continue making the payments that are necessary so that this service is not disrupted.
Adut Salva further acknowledged the challenges facing the Directorate's infrastructure, calling for gradual improvements while prioritizing critical services such as passport issuance.
I think we can all say that Rome wasn't built in a day. So we have a list of priorities that we have to undertake. One of them being today, the issuance of the passport. But in the future, we should not be sitting in the sun. This would have been a better, pleasant event if we were sitting in the premises of a fully functioning building in the Ministry of Interior.
Officials at the Directorate say the resumption of passport services is expected to ease challenges faced by citizens seeking travel documents. The visit underscores the government's renewed focus on restoring public services and improving service delivery within key institutions. This is High Radio News. The Minister of Finance and Planning has approved a budget dedicated to agricultural tools ahead of the farming season. The meeting chaired by the Minister of Finance and Planning, Dr. Bag Barnaba Chol. According to the Undersecretary for Planning, Benjamin Ayale, the Minister of Agriculture will now engage farmers nationwide to ensure the timely provision of seeds. However, the Ministry of Finance did not announce the designated amount. The official made the remarks on the state television SSBC over the weekend.
We have approved budget line items that are very crucial for this year's intervention into agricultural activities of the Ministry of Agriculture. Now with the approved budget will be made available to the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, they will reach out to farmers, extension workers to provide hybrid seeds for our farmers across the country.
Finally, before regional and international stories, labor authorities in South Sudan, in cooperation with development partners, are stepping up efforts to strengthen migrant workers' policies aimed at guaranteeing protection of their rights. An event held on Sunday brought together key actors from relevant institutions across the states and administrative areas to focus pathways for effective implementation of migrant workforce policies in line with regional and international standards. Speaking at the conclusion of the engagement, the Minister of Labour, James Hoth, said the government is committed to strengthening labour governance and protecting migrant workers.
Of labour is committed to align labour governance with international labour standards, including fair recruitment, disadvantage and non-discrimination. Organizing migrant workers supports South Sudan commitment and under the regional framework such as IGAD, migration policy framework, and free movement protocol. The strengthening union, in fact, is part of building a transparent, accountable, and right-respecting labor system.
The minister's remarks were echoed by the Undersecretary at the Ministry of Labour, Deng Tong, who stressed the government's responsibility to protect migrant workers while hedging compliance with the country's labour laws.
We take assurances from the Minister of Labour to always protect you. We have our sisters, our neighbors, our African brothers and sisters, South Sudanese. Most of us grew up in foreign countries as refugees who are unprotected. And when we come to our country, we will afford you the same protection and support. We take that assurances from us. Also, as the regulator, I'm not a politician. For us to be working very well, I wanted you to convey the leaders of migrant workers that are here. You comply with the laws of South Sudan. For the labor to be in a good position to protect you.
Development partners also reiterated their support for strengthening labor institutions in the country. The representative of the International Labour Organization, Adia, will emphasize the the organization's ongoing commitment to building the capacity of workers' unions and labor stakeholders.
I extend my warmest greetings on behalf of the whole of the ILO and appreciation for your commitment, especially given that it is Sunday. We recognize it's not easy for most of us to come on Sunday while we could be in church and of course without families. But given the time we have, we thought we would make the most use of it and start our work on Sunday. From the outset, I would like to thank all the tripartite constituents and partners here in South Sudan for your presence and the continued commitment to promoting decent work, social justice, and inclusive development.
The engagement is expected to contribute to improve protection of migrant workers' rights and stronger labor governance across South Sudan. This is iRadio Afternoon News. Now to the regional and international stories. Here is Dekodi Andrew.
And for the international news, Senegal's president has declared Monday a public holiday after the national team won the African Cup of Nations after beating tournament host Morocco 1-0 in a dramatic final on Sunday. A disallowed goal that players walking off the pitch and saved penalty made a tense night in the stadium in the Moroccan capital Rabat. In Senegal capital Dakar, their supporters were excited as they gathered at an outdoor screen at the foot of the Giant of African. As the match unfolded, the tension was too much to bear for some. Elsewhere, at least 39 people have been killed in a high-speed train crash in Spain. A Madrid-bound train drilled and crossed over the opposite track, colliding with an ongoing train in Admos on Sunday. The collision happened at 7:45 local time, about an hour after the train left Malaga for Madrid. Most of those killed and injured were in the front carriages of the second train, which was traveling south from Madrid to Hova. Finally, the head of the UN has told the BBC that the US is acting with immunity and believes its power matters more than international law. Speaking to BBC Radio 4S today's program, Antonio Guterres of Washington declared conviction was the multilateral solution were irrelevant. What mattered, he continued, was the exercise of the power and influence of the United States and sometimes its respect by the norms of international laws. His comments come week after US struck Venezuela and seized its president, and in context of Donald Trump's repeated threats to Greenland. For iRadio, I was Dekodi Andrew. Thank you for listening.
And to the sport arena, we are joined live by Darlington Moses.
Thank you so much. In the sport table in the Africa Cup of Nations AFCON, the final has drawn widespread criticism from coaches and pundits, with Morocco coach Walid Regragui condemning aspects of the match as shameful and saying the conduct of key moments harmed the reputations of African football. Post-match confrontations and debate over officiating have overshadowed Senegal's achievement for many observers. In the Premier League, campaign continues with teams jockeying for positions as the season enters its second half. Recent results have stalled momentum for clubs like Newcastle, who were held to a goalless draw by Wolves, while other sides are feeling the impact of an international collapse during the Africa Cup of Nations break. Liverpool, currently mid-table, remain inconsistent in domestic play. Their form has been mixed, with draws and losses limiting their climb up. These standings prompting discussions about squad depth and overall strategy. In La Liga, in Spain, the La Liga title race has been surprising twist. Real Sociedad recently entered Barcelona's unbeaten run with a key victory that tightened the title fight, ending a streak of dominance from the Catalan side. Barcelona had earlier restored the lead at the top with a win away at Villarreal, but competition remains fierce as teams around them push for European sports and the domestic owners. This is all in the world of sports. As from iRadio, I have been with you, Darlington Moses, as broadcasting live on iRadio's broadcast from the heart of Juba. Back to you, Wol Mapal, in the studio.
Thanks, Darlington Moses, for the sport updates. And here brings us to the end of our news this afternoon. But first, let's have a quick recap of headlines once again. An economist has added his voice to earlier calls by fellow economists urging the government to print higher denomination currency notes amid the continued loss of value of South Sudanese highest note, the 1,000 South Sudanese pounds. The Directorate of Immigration, Nationality and Passport says inadequate medical support has led to the loss of several staff members to hepatitis, with poor incentives, food shortages and lack of transport further affecting staff welfare. And finally, the Ministry of Finance and Planning has approved a budget dedicated to agricultural tools ahead of the farming season. That is the end of iReader News. If there is a story or event you would like iReader to cover or report about, please send us a text message on +211 925 287 870. It's also our WhatsApp number. Follow us on X, iRadio Juba, like our Facebook page, iRadio, subscribe to our YouTube channel at iRadio South Sudan. You can also visit our website and listen to us online, www.iradio.org. Stay tuned for news right at half past the hour. I've been your host, Wol Mapal.